Hi, my name's John, and I'm going to show you today how easy it is to replace your Garmin nuvi 760 or 765T battery. According to the Garmin reps and the Garmin website, the battery is not changeable via the consumer, which is true because it's not like it's a pair of AA batteries you can pull out and change. The battery, of course, is buried inside the unit, but if you have the right tools and a little patience, you can change the battery yourself at considerable cost savings and time. Garmin wants you to ship them your unit, and they will not replace the battery and send you your original unit back. They actually send you a whole replacement unit, so any personal or custom data you may have, POIs and waypoints, etc., are going to be gone when you ship that off, because you're not going to have your original one returned to you. They also want to charge you $99 for that process, which for some units you can just go buy a new unit. Also, of course, you're going to be out shipping charge and turnover time of at least a week and a half. And again, you can do all this yourself in probably about 10 minutes. Also, I checked online at some online places. They will change the battery for you as well. However, again, you're looking at shipping charges, downtime, and anywhere from $25 to $75 depending on the places you check out. But again, this is all something you can do all on your own. Of course, there's plenty of places online for you to find a battery. Most places will also sell you or include with the battery a small toolkit. You'll either need the small toolkit or your own tools to get into the unit to replace the battery. The battery with the toolkit I found for anywhere from $15 to $20, maybe upward to $25. I paid about $20. And of course, the nice thing is once you have the toolkit, or if you have your own tools, you can buy just the battery in the future. I found those battery itself for as low as about $10 online. Batteries are usually warranted for at least a year. The tools you will either need to have with the included with the battery or your own is a pry tool to separate the front and back part of the Garmin case. You will need a very small Torx wrench, because it's a couple Torx screws you need to remove. It's a size T5 in case you need or have your own tools. And I found it helpful also to have a pair of tweezers on hand to get at a couple plugs within the unit itself. Alright, let's get this process started. My unit is a Garmin 765T. I believe a Garmin 760 is almost exactly the same. Probably a lot of other Garmin units are similar to this, so you might need a slightly different battery, but the process should be basically about the same. So the first thing you need to do is on the back of the unit, there's a couple of these small Torx screws. There's one here, and there's also one over here. I've already removed them to save a little time. So once you get the two screws removed, take the screws out, set them aside. Then take your pry tool. Now this is a plastic pry tool. I would not suggest using anything metal like a screwdriver, because that could damage the outside around the edge of your unit. Also, it may damage the inside of the unit as you take this thing apart, and you'll see why in a second. This process is probably the most complicated process of this whole thing, because this back is on fairly tight. I started in the back of the unit, right along the edge. You just put the pry tool in and give it a twist. I would not suggest pushing forward into the unit, because once in a while, once the pry tool pops the unit off, you can actually shove this thing inside the unit, and there's circuits and things in there that you don't want to damage. So just work your way around the best you can and try to pry this thing apart. Again, as I said, this is the most complicated part of this whole process. Just work your way around the edge. I would also not suggest, once you get it separated, to pull it apart. I would definitely continue to pry it apart all the way around, kind of holding the unit, the edge up to keep them from closing back together. Okay, so once you get it separated, don't pull it apart, because there is a couple wires that are connected in here that connect the back and the front together. There is a speaker wire, which is the blue and black, and then of course the battery wire here is down here, and they are connected to the units, or the two halves are connected together. So be careful not to pull it apart. Next thing I did is I take my tweezers, and you have to disconnect the two plugs. The speaker wire again is black and blue. and I'm noting that the black wire is on the right for proper orientation when I plug it in. And all you do is you just get in here very carefully with your pair of tweezers and pull out the speaker wire. And also you can see the battery plug here, and all you need to do is just get in here with your tweezers best you can and attempt to pull out the battery plug as well. And that's all there is to that. Okay, once you got the two halves separated, you can set the main unit aside, and now you're stuck with the back half of the unit. Now is a good time for your pry tool again. This battery is being held in by double-sided sticky tape, and if you're careful enough, you can reuse the tape on your new battery that you have. I'm going to take the pry tool and kind of start around the battery again, and it's again might take a little bit of elbow grease here, but this will eventually pop itself out if you do it carefully enough. And again, be careful about working around the speaker area here so you don't damage that as you're moving around the battery. Once the battery comes out, you can set the back aside. Again, here's some double-sided sticky tape on here, and I'm going to take my pair of tweezers here and see if I can work around the edge to get this tape to come up a little bit so I can pull it up. Alright. I'll work around the edge of the tape here. Alright, let's see if I can peel this off. And if you cannot salvage the double-sided sticky tape, then obviously that's going to have to be a run to the store to get some so you can stick the battery back into the back of the case. Okay, I was able to salvage the sticky tape from my old battery. It took a little work, but I was able to get it off and be able to reuse it. So I've got it stuck on the back of the new battery, and I'm going to choose to orient the power wires in the upper corner of the unit. So I'm going to stick it in there and stick the battery in the best I can. Now I'm going to take the plug and plug the power back into it. I did note before I pulled the battery out to again for proper orientation that the red wire here was to the left as I'm facing the plug here. So I'm going to go ahead and just plug this back in. Tweezers may or may not help with this process. Let's find out. Okay, tweezers definitely help. Carefully push the plug back in. Now usually they come with some sort of charge, might be a little charge, but enough to power it up. So before I put this thing all back together, I'm going to at least power it up to make sure that I don't have to pull this thing apart again. So let's find out what happens when I power it up. And voila. So the battery is in, the battery works. And we'll shut this thing off here at the agreement screen. Alright, don't need that anymore. Okay, once the battery is plugged in, then of course the last step here is to plug the speaker back in as well. Alrighty, I took the pair of tweezers, similar that what I did with the power plug, and I took the tweezers and plugged the speaker wire back into its slot and pushed it all the way in. And the last part of this is snapping this thing together. Line up the external antenna plug hole there, and basically work your way around the unit, snap it back together. Before I put the two screws in, I'm going to power it up one more time. And it obviously still works. So the last step is to replace the two small torque screws on the back that again go here and here, and put the torque screws in, and your Garmin is ready for use again. Okay, so all in all, that process took about 10 minutes. There was a few things I didn't show on camera, like removing and replacing the torque screws, and also removing and replacing the double-sided sticky tape. So maybe add about 5 minutes on for that. So about 15 minutes, but don't rush yourself in order to avoid damaging your unit. So, you know, if it takes a little longer, it takes a little longer. But we'll say 15 to 20 minutes it'll take you versus the week and a half to 2 weeks of downtime without your unit, and also the $10 to $20 for the battery instead of the $25 up to $100 to have somebody else do it is well worth the time savings as well, and money. The original OEM Garmin battery is a lithium-ion battery, so please dispose of properly. Just don't toss it in the trash. The insert that came with the battery packaging says to charge it up for at least 3 hours before you use it, and again, the battery is warranted for a year, so you should have a good year's worth of good solid use out of the battery. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope this is helpful, and good luck with replacing your battery.